Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna and I am a hobby fiber artist living in Seattle, Washington. I love to knit and sew and spin and try new things. So that's what we talk about on my channel. And today we're going to talk about the projects that I worked on in the month of May. Elephant in the room, I did chop my hair off. If I'm touching it a lot, it's because I chopped it off yesterday and I'm still getting used to it and I'm still trying to figure out how to style it and wear it. There's a bunch of it. I have a lot of hair, and so there's a bunch of it clipped back right now. I'm just trying to figure out how to get it to lay nicely, but it's fun. It's cute. It's a haircut. So anyway, but if I'm messing with it, sorry if that's annoying, but it's new to me, so I'm still getting used to it. Beyond that, I did a fair amount of making this month. I did a lot of knitting, but I actually had to do quite a lot of ripping back, and so I don't have any finished objects to show you. I'll talk you through my process on these knitting projects, and then I have quite a bit of sewing to show you. May is the month of May is also Me Made May, which is like a social media challenge where it started in the sewing community and has kind of trickled over to knitting as well, where people wear clothes that they've made every day, and I really tried to participate in that as best as I could. I didn't like wear something that I wore every single day, but for a lot of the month I did, and I shared a lot on my Instagram, which was really fun. But because I was like wearing a lot of my sewn garments, I wanted to make more, and so I did quite a lot of sewing this month that I will share with you. No spinning to show, but we'll chat about knitting and sewing, and yeah, that's what we will do. Okay, I'll start with the knitting because while I don't have any finished objects, I do have quite a bit to share about these projects. So the first one I want to talk about is my Esther jacket by Petite Knit. This poor Esther jacket. Okay, so this is where it's at right now. I have just the body kind of done, joined for sleeves, and it is beautiful. I'm really enjoying working on this. It's lovely. I love the texture. I love the yarn. This is my hand spun yarn if you're new around here. This is my hand spun yarn from a fleece that I washed and carded myself and then spun, and now I'm knitting this beautiful cardigan with it, and I'm really enjoying it. I made a lot of progress on this month and then had to rip it out. So I knit to this point in the body, and then I knit most of one sleeve, and then I put it on rest because I wasn't sure how much. I'm playing yarn chicken basically with this. I have 5 big balls of yarn. I have like almost exactly the meterage that I need for the size that I'm knitting, which is the medium. That's my standard size in Petite Knit. I'm like, maybe my gauge might be a little bit tight, so I may end up closer to the small or kind of in between the small and the medium, but that's what we're working with. And I knit like most of the sleeve, basically like to where the pattern told me I could start the cuff. And then I put it on hold because I thought maybe I would want to add a little bit more. A running theme of today's episode is that I'm very particular about sleeves, and it's causing me a lot of drama. So I got to a pretty good length on the sleeve, like basically a full sleeve before it was probably like, I have this freckle on my wrist, and it was probably about to that freckle, like, which is maybe like an inch to 2.5 inches above my wrist bone, this like knobby bone on my wrist. And so I had knit that whole thing, and then I picked up the body to start working that because I was thinking I would use a skein to finish out the body, see how close I could get to finishing out the body, and then knit the other sleeve, and maybe I would have some left over and I could kind of decide how I was going to disperse the rest of the yarn that I had. However, I got like a good way through the body as well, probably like 4 inches on the body, and I realized that the color of the yarn that I had been using on the body was very different than the color of the yarn that I had already used. So this fleece it was a whole fleece that I carded. It was like 3 pounds of wool, maybe a little bit less after washing. And I carded it all up, and it was like kind of a variable fleece. It was like a gray fleece. It had some darker places, some lighter places, and I just ended up carding up everything together. And the way that the bats turned out, I might have some pictures I can put in here to show you, is that some of them were kind of more of a light gray, some of them were more of a dark gray. So when I was spinning the wool, I tried to do a balance of, I think I was doing like 2 of the lighter bats and 1 of the darker bats, or maybe the other way around. But I was trying to evenly balance all the skeins so they would kind of have the same color. Unfortunately, I did not do the best job of that because I don't think you can tell in the ball, and I'm annoyed because I didn't take a good picture of it, but this ball of yarn was significantly lighter than the ball I had used on the body. And I wasn't sure if it was going to bother me or not, so I blocked it, the sleeve and the body and everything. I blocked it And it was pretty obvious, especially out in the sunlight. It was very obvious that the body and the rest of that this chunk of the body and the rest of the sweater were a very different color. And it wasn't something that I felt like I wanted to live with, because I've already put so much time and energy into the sweater between carding the wool or washing the wool, carding the wool, spinning the wool, knitting the sweater. I don't want to end up with something that I'm not happy with. I want this to be like a really beautiful heirloom piece, and I want to be really happy with it when I finish it. So I decided to rip out the body, and then the sleeve that I had knit was closer in color to the body that I already have. And so I figured I could use that skein that I had already knit from the sleeve and finish the body with that. And then I can knit the 2 sleeves with the other 2 skeins of yarn that I have that I think are both a little bit more silvery than this. And so if the sleeves are slightly different, I'm less bothered about that than if the body has like a stark line in it. So that's what I decided to do. I also felt like the taper on the sleeve was not enough. The sleeve was quite wide at the bottom, and I looked at a lot of pictures, and I looked at all things, and it looked okay, and I was kind of second guessing it while I was knitting it as well, and it looked okay, but I am just very particular about sleeves. I've knit quite a few pieces now at this point where the sleeves are really wide, and I don't wear them because it bothers me how wide the sleeves are. They're really floppy. They get caught on things. I feel like they get caught on doorknobs really easily. I don't love a super wide sleeve. I think I've come to realize that like the widest that I want a sleeve to be is like 10 to 12 inch circumference. I don't think I really want any wider than 12 inches. And I think this sweater was going to end up being a little bit wider than that. And so because I wanted to use this skein for the body, I just figured I'll reknit the sleeve as well. So that was probably 2 weeks ago, the long weekend, Memorial Day weekend. I ended up ripping it out. My mom was here and she helped me rip it out, so it went really fast. But it was sad to rip out a lot of progress and have to redo. So it kind of stalled me out on this sweater because I was like, okay, I'm not going to wear this anytime soon. It's getting quite warm and sunny. And so I don't need to have like an Aran weight cardigan finish anytime soon. So I was like, okay, I'll put this aside. I'm sad. I'll put it aside and I'll work on my other sweater for a little bit and let this one rest, and I'll come back to it. I am still really happy with it. And I want to show you this a little bit closer up because I have blocked this whole thing. And so you can see the texture. It doesn't pop a ton, I will say. But I do think it's very beautiful, and there's like a bit of variegation and heathering in the fiber, or in the yarn. And this wool has like a really beautiful kind of fuzzy halo to it. I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see it, but there is kind of, maybe back here you can see it a little bit better. There's kind of a fuzz to it. So this fleece was a Corriedale, Lincoln, and Romney cross. Corriedale is like a fluffier down wool, and then Lincoln and Romney are both long wools. And so it's an interesting cross that's made a really nice fabric. It's rustic in that it's toothy, but it's not scratchy, I don't think. And I have a pretty high tolerance for wool, but I think it's really comfortable. I think it's like, it doesn't irritate my neck at all. It's actually quite comfortable. I think this is a beautiful, beautiful breed cross, and I really like it. I have this fleece, and I have another fleece that is the same cross, but it's like pure white. So I'm excited to have more of this wool to spin and to work with and to knit up later in a different sweater. And I do kind of have a tentative plan for that, but I'm really happy with this. I think it's beautiful, and I think I will be very happy that I ripped it out when I finish this, because I want it, like I said, I've spent so much time working with this fiber and on this project that I want to be really, really happy with the finished piece. So I will pick this back up again probably in the next couple weeks once I finish my next project that I'm going to show you. But in the meantime, we had a bit of a setback, and that's okay. I would rather something be right than just finished. Yeah, I would rather it be right than finished. So yeah, that's where I landed on my Esther jacket. I will keep going on that. You'll see it again at some point. And unfortunately, I had a similar dilemma with my next project. So this is my Air Tee by Ozetta that I am knitting into a long sleeve sweater. I'm knitting this with the Drops Love You 7, which is 100% cotton. It's fingering weight, but it is 170 meters per 50 grams, just because cotton's a little bit heavier. So what's that? 340 meters per 100 grams. So it's like a sport fingering weight. And I'm holding it with 3 little threads of silk that I have reclaimed from a different sweater, like a ready-to-wear sweater. And so it's making this really beautiful, very drapey, very slightly heathered. Like the silk is kind of a lighter beige than the cotton. And so it's almost like a textural heather. I think it's very pretty. I'm really enjoying this fabric. I'm honestly really enjoying this project, which is kind of surprising to me because I've never really been a huge fan of plain stockinette projects. I find them a little bit boring, but I've really enjoyed working on this a lot. And I think because there's so much going on in my life now, I have a young kid and I'm working, it's just really actually nice to have something super mindless that I can just go and go and go and not have to think too deeply about while I'm working on it. So my friend Francesca from the Italian Knitter has always talked about how she loves mindless knitting, and I always made fun of her for it, but now I kind of understand. But anyway, so I knit the whole body, and I did the whole body. I got to 200 grams. I have 400 grams of the drops. And so I used 4 balls of it, and they're 50 grams. So I have 8 balls of it, and I used 4 balls of it for the body. And then I just put it on hold. It's just still on the needles. I haven't done anything with it. And this is about 11 inches, I think, in body, which is an okay length. I think the pattern says to go to 12, and I've knit a t-shirt version of this before, and I measured it, and I actually went to 13 inches on that. So I'm fine with it as it is. I figured I would just leave it, see how much yarn I needed for the sleeves, and then if I had more, I could add a little length if I want to. If not, I can bind off, whatever. So then I went to pick up for the sleeve, and I knit a very long sleeve. This is probably like 16 inches long, and I'm sure you'll know, like, I just don't like the taper. I feel like it's really, really wide. I tapered every 2, so because this is a short sleeve, there's no shaping in the sleeve, and it just tells you to knit to a certain length and bind off with the I-cord, which is great for the short sleeve version. But as I was knitting the long sleeve version, I was like, I'll just decrease every 2 inches and that'll be fine. Unfortunately, it's not fine. It's really, really, really wide still. I have not knit a lot of fingering weight sweaters, and so I'm not super, I don't know why I'm blaming. I think I just don't have I didn't think about how much I needed to decrease on this to get it to a length that I really like. And you can see there's just not like, you can't barely even see that there's a taper in this. And I really wanted it to be more of a dramatic taper. I'll put this on for you so you can see what I'm talking about. I have a lot of ends attached to me right now, so just bear with me. And if my hair looks crazy, I can't tell because it's blending into the door. So, okay. So the sweater is really cute. I like the color. I like the fit. I like the ease. This is kind of the length that we're at too. It's like maybe half an inch to an inch below the top of my hips. Like my natural waist, sorry, I'm wearing a skirt, and so my natural waist is here, and it goes down probably 4 or 5 inches beyond that. It's a good length in the body. I like it. I put the I-cord neck on. I think it looks really nice. Here's my problem with the sleeve. You might think it looks fine. I really wanted it to be more like this, I would say. Here, hold on. I really wanted it to fit closer to like there and to taper in. I just don't love this loose fabric around the elbow is really what's bothering me. I wanted it to be much more tapered. And I was thinking that maybe I could do a rapid decrease around the wrist and just be fine with it, but I don't know. I just am not in love with it. Here, let me... Blech. It's just a lot of fabric, and considering the amount of ease that I have on the body, which is like a fair amount, I don't know. It feels very heavy because of the fabric content, and I don't know, maybe I'm talking myself out of it, but I think I will be happier with it if it tapers up a little bit more. So I'm going to rip this out and re-knit it with like a decrease rate that's like twice as, so like every inch instead of every 2 inches. And now that I know that it needs to be probably like 17 inches, I think it'll be fine. And I think I will be happier with it. I think it will end up closer to that like 10-inch wrist circumference that I want. And I'll just be happier with the final product. So that's what I'm going to do. I just didn't want to rip it out until I showed it to you because I had forgot to take pictures of the other one, and I wanted you to see what I'm talking about. I don't know. Other people might call me crazy, but I am just very, very particular about sleeves, sleeve length, taper. This is, which reminds me of a conversation. So back in January, I went to visit my mom in California, and I met up with Lily from Curatorial Knits. Hi, Lily. Congratulations on your new sweater release. I met up with Lily at a coffee shop, and we were just chatting, and I think my mom asked, like, what's something that like you do in knitting that is like your guilty pleasure or something like that, something along those lines. And Lily said that she never follows the instructions for sleeves. She just kind of like does her own decrease all the time. And when she said that, I was like, you're crazy. What do you mean? And now I understand because I've knit a couple pieces this year and the sleeves are not right, and I've had to redo the sleeve decrease rate, and I think I just have come to understand my personal preference for sleeve, and Lily is onto something. So yes, that is my sleeve drama. Maybe I'm being dramatic, I don't know, I'll look at it again when we're done, but yes, that's where we're at on my Air T sweater. So I'm really excited to have this finished product, especially in this time of year. June can sometimes be a little hit or miss for weather in Seattle. It can be beautiful and sunny like it is today, or cold and rainy. So having a cotton sweater that's a little bit more breathable, a little bit more lightweight, would be really nice. I also work in an office with air conditioning, so sometimes the temperature is also hit or miss. So I'm excited to have this. It's just proving a little bit annoying, but that's okay. This was like maybe a week and a half's worth of work, and so if I work on it a little bit more concerted, I can probably re-knit this sleeve pretty quickly. So yes, that is my sleeve saga. Okay, so that is my sleeve saga. It's not been a successful month for sleeves for me on my sweaters, but that's okay. So when I figured out that I needed to redo those sleeves a couple days ago, and I was like, I don't want to touch it. I'm just gonna let it rest. I picked my socks back up. These are my Q2 socks, I'm calling them. I'm trying to knit 4 pairs of socks this year, so like one every quarter, every 3 months or so. And now that we're in June, I'm running out of time. So I picked these back up again. I'm kind of loosely basing them off the Humblebee socks pattern by Fibertails. They're just a toe, that pattern is a toe-up sock with a fleegle heel, and I really like the fit of them. They're like probably my favorite socks that I've ever made myself. So I'm using that pattern again. And this is a one-off colorway from Little Fiber Company. Like a Lucky Dip. So they kind of remind me of chocolate strawberries, the colors do. So that's what I'm calling them. I'm calling them my chocolate strawberry socks. And I have a little bit more to go knitting straight on the foot before I start the heel. And I just had a 50 gram ball of this, so I've divided it in half, and I'm just going to keep knitting them 2 at a time until I run out. That's my plan for these. So sorry, I'm just going to fuss with my hair for a minute. So yes, I've been knitting more on these. These are getting more love and I'm enjoying them. So I'm going to I will have these done by the next time I see you. I should. That's my goal. That's my hope and dream. So yes, that is my knitting for the month. It was like a 3 steps forward, 2 steps back month for me, which is fine. It happens. We're doing this. I would rather spend a little bit more time on the process and have a finished product that I really am happy with. So yes, but that is a good segue into my sewing, because I have quite a few things that I am really happy with from my sewing this month. We will start out with, okay, in my sewing in the past, I've made mostly pants, just kind of, that's the way it's worked out. But I have some new tops, mostly tops actually, to talk to you about today. So the first one is this beautiful blouse, and I will put video of me wearing these, because I wore them all throughout the month, and so you can see them and see how they look on. It's way easier to visualize that way. But my first finished object is this beautiful blouse. This is the Amelie blouse from Silver Saga Patterns. And it's made from this kind of heavier weight, I think it's a cotton, but I don't know. I got this fabric from a fabric sale at Seattle Recreative about this time, maybe this time last year in the summertime. They did a big fabric sale at their Georgetown location, and my friend Meg and I went and we got some really good stuff. A couple of the things I'm showing you today actually. So this is the first one. I had no idea what I was going to make with this for a really long time, and then I saw the blouse. I loved the Amelie blouse when it came out. It's a beautiful pattern, and then I think I saw someone either on Instagram like wearing a shirt kind of like this, or there's a Doan top that's very similar to this. And I was like, that is the perfect thing. So I bought the pattern and I made it, and it turned out really, really cute. I'm really happy with it. I ended up making the smallest size of this pattern because I wasn't sure how much fabric I had, and I think it was good that I did, because I just eked this out of the fabric that I had. The only thing I don't love about this is that the cuffs are kind of tight, that I have to button and unbutton them to get them on and off. So I might I have enough fabric that I could redo the cuffs if I need to, but I'm probably going to leave them for now and we'll see. But besides that, I'm really, really happy with it. I think it turned out so cute. I also just freshly washed and dried this, and I think it looks even better. It's got like a little bit of a wrinkle in it, and I don't know, it looks beautiful. There's so much ease in here. It's really flowy. I think the collar detail is a little bit clowny, but kind of in a cute way. I don't know. We'll see how it looks with my new short hair. But it's very fun and beautiful. And the buttons were just from an old button-up shirt that I had thrifted and like reused the fabric for another project. So that was great. And the fabric was from Stash. So I just had to buy the pattern, and then this project was pretty
pretty easy to go. It took me, I usually do more complicated projects, sewing projects like this over a couple of days. It probably took me a weekend maybe to do this. There is a fair amount of hand stitching on this project because you have to hand stitch down the collar and the cuffs, and there's somewhere else where I did some hand stitching, I think. There is a decent amount of hand stitching. I don't remember what else. Maybe it was just the collar and the cuffs, but it's, you know, there's hand stitching, which I don't love, but I couldn't find a really good thread match for this fabric because RIP Joanne, I don't have a fabric store really close to me that I can go and look for a good thread match. The closest place that I could get thread is at Wool Friends, which is in Ballard. It's like a makerspace studio place, and they do have some retail, but they don't have a huge thread selection, and they didn't have a good color. And I went to Seattle Recreative, and they didn't have a good color match, so I just ended up doing a lot of hand stitching so that there wouldn't be like a weirdly colored top stitching thread or anything. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this turned out. I think it's beautiful, and I'm excited to wear it more. I think it is very springy, but the color is very fun. I really love blue. I think it brings out the color of my eyes. It's a good color for me, so I think it's really pretty. And then on the Silver Saga train, I made her newest pattern, which is the Seline blouse, which is another gorgeous, floaty, romantic blouse pattern. And this fabric is really lightweight. I think it's also cotton, but it was also from that same fabric sale at Seattle Recreative. So I'm not 100% sure where it is, what it is, sorry, but this is it. And I love this. I think it's beautiful and very romantic. The only thing is that the neck is still quite low, even after I gathered it quite a lot, and I even raised the neckline. I think I just didn't do the best job of holding the gathers. So I may end up having to unpick and redo this neckline just to bring the neckline in a little bit more and make it a little bit higher. I wore it to work the other day, and I had to wear a shirt under it, and I would like to be able to wear it without a shirt underneath. So I think it's beautiful. I love the puffy sleeve, although I do feel like I kind of have to pull it down so that it doesn't become too puffy. And it's just like very light and flowy and beautiful and so gorgeous. And this pattern has a bunch of different views. I'm going to make another one. I've already cut out another one. I'm going to make a white one with, it'll look basically exactly like this except for without the ruffle at the neck. So I'm really excited to make that. I think it'll be gorgeous. I'm going to make it in like a white and it's a white fabric with little yellow Swiss dots on it. It's very cute. Maybe you'll see it next month. But yes, that is my Seline blouse. I need to just, probably take the time to redo this neckline. But it's really, really pretty. Silver Saga's patterns are a little bit expensive for sewing patterns. They're priced a little bit higher than most other sewing patterns, but they are really, really well done. And so I guess the pattern justifies the higher price point. She doesn't do a ton of sales, but maybe keep an eye out. I think she does once or twice a year a sale. So they're very beautiful. Turned out great. Okay. And then I have, so during Me Made May, I was trying to wear my Me Made clothes all the time, and I go to my office to work 3 days a week. So it was really easy for me to get dressed on those days. But when I'm working from home the other days of the week, I really like to wear sweatpants. I'm a very, very much a comfort first person. And so I was wearing my sweatsuits, and on those days I obviously wasn't wearing Me Made clothes, and then I had a stroke of what I think was a stroke of genius. Years ago now, I bought this pair of, during COVID, I bought this gray pair of sweatpants from a thrift store that were like my perfect sweatpants. I loved them. They were like a tapered jogger, but they were pretty slim fitting. They were so comfortable, and I wore them so much that I actually like wore through the fabric in the knees and the butt, which that's like kind of embarrassing to wear out the butt from sitting so much, but I wore them for years, and they finally like got to a point where I couldn't wear them anymore. So I bought like at the Goodwill bins, which is where I source a lot of fabric. It was a blanket, but it was like sweatshirt fabric, like fleece on the inside and then knit on the outside. And so I bought that blanket so that I could basically recreate those sweatpants, and then I never recreated the sweatpants, and I got rid of the sweatpants, and so the blanket's just been like sitting around my house for a while. And then I had a stroke of genius when I decided to make a pair of sweatpants out of the bob pants pattern, which is a pattern from Style Arc. The bob pants are a pattern from Style Arc, and they're kind of like a barrel leg shape, which is very in right now. And I was like, oh, what if I made barrel leg sweatpants? And so I did. I made these. I have a video I'll put up of them. So it's just this like really dark charcoal gray. They're very simple barrel leg sweatpants. They have pockets. I will say the pocket location on the bob pants is kind of low. I raised the pockets on this pair up like 2 inches, and I think if I were to make them again, I would raise them up, make probably a whole nother inch, just so that the pocket sits a little bit closer to the waistband. I find that the closer a pocket sits to a waistband, if you put your phone in the pocket or something, it doesn't pull the pants down quite as much. So yes, I've worn these a ton, basically every day since I made them. The only thing I think I still need to do is to tack down the waistband in a couple more places, because it's tacked in the center back, but it does have a tendency to get twisted in there. But yeah, they're just like this really dark charcoal gray sweatpant, and I have worn them a ton and I love them. So highly recommend. I think a pair in like a French terry fabric actually would be really fun and really nice. So that is my bob sweats. And then the last thing that I made that I am totally obsessed with is another Honey Girl tee. I found that during the month I was wearing my Honey Girls, like I have a plain white one or like an off-white one and then a brown long sleeve. I wore them all the time. And then I'm on Lyrical Fabric so Paradise Patterns is the designer of the Honey Girl tee, and she works really closely with an online fabric store called Lyrical Fabrics. And I bought my original fabric to make my Honey Girl tees from Lyrical when they were having a sale. And so I'm on their mailing list or whatever, and they sent me an email that they were doing these mystery boxes. And I was like, I simply have to buy one. So I actually ended up getting 2 mystery boxes. I got one that would send, so they just kind of like send you like fabric remnants or fabrics that are slightly damaged but still usable. And they're just mystery boxes. And so one of the boxes I bought was specifically a Honey Girl box. So they sent a bunch of fabric that was appropriate to make a Honey Girl tee. And this is one of the fabrics that they sent me. It was just kind of like a weirdly shaped offcut, like end of the roll offcut. It's this beautiful cotton pointelle with these little purpley flowers on them. And I made a long sleeve Honey Girl tee with it. And I've worn this like probably 4 or 5 times since I made this a week ago. So I'm really, really happy with it. It's so cute. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think it's so darling. I will put a picture of me wearing it here so you can see, or a video. And when I was making jeans a month or so ago, I ordered some denim buttons from Salt Lake Society because they have a good selection. And I also ordered a twin stretch needle. So a lot of times, like on a commercially made t-shirt, you have that like I guess you can kind of see it on the tank top that I'm wearing. This like line of twin stitches is how they do a lot of the finishing on knitted fabrics, like stretchy fabrics that you get from the store, like t-shirts or whatever. They have that double stitch needle. And the Honey Girl tee is written to just use a zigzag stitch for everything, the pattern is. But I thought it would look a little bit more like professional if I did a twin stitch, which is this double stitch. And I also had a white t-shirt that I got a huge stain on that I wanted to crop, but I wanted it to look really professional when I fixed it so that you couldn't tell that I had cropped it. And so I wanted to get the twin stitch needle. So I tested it out on that t-shirt and it actually looks really good. It looks like you can't really tell that I sewed the new hem on it. And so for my Honey Girls, I decided to use the twin stitch needle for the finishing, and I think it looks really good. So you can see it here on the collar, how it has those like twin lines of stitching. And on the cuffs and hems, I did the same thing. So it has just like a very professionally finished look to it that I'm really, really happy with. I'm not sure you're going to be able to tell. It's hard to tell with white thread on white fabric, but I think it looks really nice. The only other thing is that the Honey Girl has like a really high crew neck version or a really low scoop neck version. And I made one of each and I wasn't like 100% happy with either. So I decided to make this. I just ended up grading down the neckline of the high crew neck, like an inch down, maybe 2 inches, I think just an inch. And I kind of actually traced it off the neckline of this top because this is like a high neck without being too high. And I love where it sits. I think it looks really nice. It's still quite high, full coverage, but very comfortable without being like really up on the neck. So I'm really, really happy with this. And when I finished this, I was like, I love this. To the point that I had made my original, I have this brown long sleeve Honey Girl that I made a month or so ago, and I had done the scoop neck version, and I was like, as soon as I made it, I was a little bit unhappy because the scoop was quite low, and it was fine. I wore it a couple times, but I don't love wearing clothes that I have to kind of adjust all the time. I wore that t-shirt to work, and I just felt like I had to like be pulling on it all the time, or it was gapping a little bit at the side, and I just worried that like my bra strap was going to show, which is not really work appropriate. So I was thinking about it, and then I just finally decided that I was going to redo that top. And instead of like cutting out a whole new one or anything, I just decided to pull it apart and make a new. Oh no, my stitching came undone. That's annoying. I'm gonna have to fix that. Okay, but I just decided to basically cut a new front piece, and I unpicked all of the side seams, the shoulder seams, and the front of the arm side, and made a new front, and the neck, and made a new front. So it took a lot of time for me to unpick because I had used a serger. I spent like probably 2 hours unpicking all the stitches, but I'm glad I did because it didn't waste any fabric, and I now have a higher neck version of my brown Honey Girl tee, which turned out really cute as well. So this one, for some reason, the neck is a little bit lower than the floral version, but I still think it's really cute, and I'm happy with it. Although I just saw that something weird happened with the stitching on my hem, and I need to go back and fix that. So good thing I didn't unthread my machine. And the hem is just a little bit wavy, I think, because I unpicked the hem and redid the hem a few times. It looks a little bit wonky, but I'll just press it and it'll be fine. So yes, that is my refashioned Honey Girl. The neck's also a little bit wavy. I think I made it a little bit too loose, but all in all, I am really happy with this, and it's summer now, so I probably won't be wearing this for a while, but it turned out very cute and I'm very happy with it. So yes, that is my redone long sleeve Honey Girl. So I have 2 long sleeve pointelle t-shirts now and 1 short sleeve, and I have some more fabric from that mystery bag to make a few more, which is exciting. Okay, that's actually all that I have for you today. Kind of a shorter one this month because my knitting did not go to plan, but that's okay. And hopefully next month I'll have at least the cotton sweater finished, because I do want to be wearing that, and a new cast on and the socks. So there will be some things for me to show you next month, and we can talk more about them then. I'm also going later today actually to Fiber Fusion Northwest, which is a little yarn festival, yarn woolly show in Monroe, Washington. I'm going this afternoon, and so I'm probably going to pick up a few things, so I have those to show you. And July, I think maybe end of June, early July is when Tour de Fleece starts, so I will also be doing more spinning. So we'll have lots more to talk about next month. And with that, I will leave you. Thank you so much for watching. And oh, one more thing. I am typing up, it's a little bit late, but I am working on a newsletter that is kind of a bigger recap of my experience doing Me Made May, some things that I learned, some of my favorite the pieces that I wore the most, the things in my wardrobe I'm finding that I wear a lot. So if you want to read that, there is a link to sign up for my newsletter down below. And now with that, I will leave you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again very soon.